we're on Chapter 3, Lesson 8, the last one of this chapter. Please turn with me to page 239, Dividing Decimals by Decimals. So, let's see. When might we divide decimals? Playing the stock market. That would be an example. Dividing prices by units at a grocery store when the whole unit is not a whole number, like say you're buying 2.5 ounces of peanuts and the cost is $3.53. You have decimals there. But again, let's go back to the most important thing. Step 1, always to estimate using the whole number component. Step 2 is to compute. And you guessed it, step 3 is to compare. And you learned why comparisons are so important, because if you do a comparison and you find out that your answer looks stupid once you compute it, you can catch your mistake. If you do not do an estimate or make the comparison, then you will just leave the answer as it is, and I will question you why the answer looks so ridiculous. So, always do an estimate, then compute with care, then make a comparison to make sure your answer makes sense. Let's get on with the lesson, looking at the real world link. In the real world link, we're looking at cascading decimals. And Art City has 36 gallons of acrylic paint. They separate into 9 containers. How many gallons are in each container? We know the answer is 4. Now, what we're going to do is keep moving the decimal one place. In the problem set number 1, we're moving the decimals to the left, and so the quotients are getting larger because the divisor is smaller. Therefore, the quotient is larger. In this case, the next one would be 40,000. Now, in this case, we're going to change the dividend, and the dividend is getting smaller. Our divisor is the same, and our quotient is smaller. Why? Because the number that we're multiplying into is small, therefore we're not going to have much left in our answer, dividend. So then this one will be 0.0004. And then the last one, we're going to change both simultaneously with the same degree. Change both by the same degree, which leaves us the same answer or quotient. Alright, so let's move on to the lesson. Dividing by decimals. When dividing by decimals, change the divisor to a whole number. To do this, we're multiplying by powers of 10. In this case, let's look at the problem first though. It's like 1, maybe 2, approximately 2 divided by approximately 1, which is 2, so we put 2 in a box. So we know that that is our answer. So again, now, I'm going to blow this up so we can really look at this. 1.71. You cannot, I repeat, not have a fraction or decimal in your divisor. So, note to self, no decimal allowed in divisor. So if you bunny hop outside, you have to do an equal number of hops inside. And then I go for the what I call J. The minute I make my bunny hop on the inside, I immediately put my decimal so that I take care of it at the beginning. If you wait till the end, you will forget and you will put the decimal in the wrong place. How do I know this? I've been teaching for 9 years and I see this all the time. So again, remember when you do this, move your decimal immediately. So when we do the math, we get 1.9. We guess 2. Excellent guess. Let's do number 2. Okay, so number 2, we have 2.64 divided by 0.6. Well, I'm going to say 0.5 because that's a half. And I'm going to say 3 here, so half of 3 is 1.5. So I'm going to put 1.5 in my cloud. And I'm going to change inks because I'm not really keen on the black because it doesn't show up very well. So now we're going to come over here and work our problem. 0.6, 2.64. Bunny hop on the outside, got a whole number, immediately make my J place my decimal. Now again, equal number of bunny hops on the inside and outside. If I make 1 on the outside, I make 1 on the inside. If I make 2 on the outside, I make 2 on the inside. That is very important. Okay? So in order to do this, I've multiplied by 10, which means again I'm multiplying the dividend by 10 also. And in this case, the dividend was 2.64, so I multiplied it 2.64 by 10, which means I've now really made it 26.4, and the outside is 6. Okay, so again, I'm going to do the work here just because it gives me more room. 6 goes into 26 4 times, it's a 24. Bring down a 2, 24, 4. So I get 4.4. Ooh, that doesn't make any sense. Why is my estimate off? I know why my estimate is off. Because in this case, that would be multiplying it. So I know that my estimate was bad. Very interesting. If I look at that again and rethink that, then I would say my estimate should have been about 6. Because I know that 3 divided by a half is the same thing as saying 3 times 2 over 1, which is 6. So, I caught myself with a bad estimate. I did the work, I questioned my answer, I went back, rethought my estimate, came to the conclusion that my estimate was wrong, not my answer. So again, you have to be very careful when you do these problems to determine where it is. So now you understand why doing a comparison is so important. I looked up, said, ooh, that is bad. Redid it, came up with 6, answer's 4.4. My guess is 6. 6 is very close to 4.4. I'm happy with my new estimate, and I'm happy with my math problem knowing that I did it correctly. So, it's your turn. Be very careful. Make sound estimates. See you soon. Pause the video. Okay, so let's look to see what we've got. In number A, I said 50 divided by 2 is 25. That's my estimate. When I did the work, I got 32. 32, 25, they're both excellent. I knew it was 2 digits, so that's good. Number B, I have 8.424 divided by 0.36. I did my bunny hops first, just kind of on the problem, just so I could kind of look at it. So I said 40 goes into 820 times. So again, I said 20 as my estimate and got 23.4. Great. And number C was an easy problem. I knew I had 3 bunnies on the outside, 3 bunnies on the inside, left me 1 shy on the inside, so I have 0.9. And again, notice I worked the problem out to make sure that my answer was correct. So be very careful. All right, turn the page. Let's keep going. All right, zeros in the quotient and dividend, lining up the place values, annexing zeros. So again, cross out the word annex, put equalize. It means adding more zeros where you need to because you know that your answer is going to require it. In this case, we know that it's 4, 4 because we bunny hop one and do another one. So we're going to put I'm going to put 100, but I know it's a little more than 100. But again, I'm going to go ahead with 100 as my guess. In this case, I had to bunny hop one multiplying by 10, and the other one I had to multiply by 10. And again, I go immediately up and I put my decimal. When I put my decimal and I work the math out, I get 130. I guessed 100. Looks good. So let's look at the second one. Find 0.009 divided by 0.18. Now, in this case, this one's awesome because I know that if I look at 9/18, I get a half. So I know that 5 is involved in this answer. I just don't know where it's involved in this answer. So again, I have to do the math and be very careful. I'm going to multiply by 100 or 2 hops on the outside, which means I do 2 hops in the inside. So I haven't quite made it to 9 yet. I'm still at 0.9 on the inside. I immediately have to bring my decimal up, and that's where that appears there. So I have 18 goes into 0 times, goes into 9 0 times, goes into 90 5 times. So we know the answer is 0.05. So your guess would have been 0 based on this, knowing that this number is bigger than this number. But again, I thought about it and I knew that a 5 was involved because 9/18 is a half, which is 0.5. I just didn't know if it was 0.05, 0.5, 0.005. Didn't know exactly where it was with my decimal. I just knew a 5 was involved. So using logic will help you in doing your math. Be very careful. Let's keep going. So number 5, find 11.2 divided by 0.07. So we're going to do bunny hops. I know that this number is going to be larger than what I would think because I'm going to do 2 here, 2 here. So it's like 7 going into 1,000 or even 12. If I made that 14, that's about 200. So I know that 200 is a ridiculously large answer, but I'm going to go ahead with it anyway, just because I know it's going to be 3 digits. So I go 0.07, 112, 12, put it up here, 7 goes there 1 time, that's 7, that's a 42, that's 6. Alright, so we get 160. So I guessed 200, we got 160. Not bad for my estimate. So it's your turn now. Do the problems, come back, and we'll check our answers. Okay, so D I got 400, E I got 0.0312, and F I got 0.016. My estimates actually I was 400 on the guess, which was excellent. The other 2 were zeros. I just had to be very careful. In the last 2, you're not actually moving the decimal. Why? Because the whole number is the divisor, so you're only doing the other. Let's keep going. How many times as many internet users are there in Japan than Spain, round to the nearest tenth? So we have 127.4 divided by 40. So we know it's about 3, because 120 divided by 40 is 3. When you do the math, you get 3.15, and they want it to the nearest tenth. So we put our line, we look over, we get 3.2. It's your turn. Be very careful with working the problems. Come back when you're done. Okay, in number 1, I guessed 12, and I got 12.3. In number 2, 0, got 0.026. In number 3, I guessed 1, I got 1.09. Number 4, when you do the division, I guessed 3, I got 3.1, and I didn't bother to do it any more than that because it says how many blankets, which means I'm not going to have partial blankets. Even if it was 3.9 or 3.8, I'm still going to have to say 3. Why? Because 0.8 does not make a blanket. So when do we round to the nearest hundredth? When your answer is a repeater or it goes on forever. Remember, when doing your division, bunny hop the same number on the outside and the inside, and be very careful. Great lesson. See you soon. Bye.